Hi, I'm Craig Howard from Lucid Games. I'm here to show you a quick overview of Geometry Wars Dimensions. So, Geometry Wars Dimensions has got several new modes. We've got a single player adventure mode. We've got a classic mode which shows you all of the existing modes from Geometry Wars Retro Evolved 2. We have bonus levels. We have for the first time ever an online competitive multiplayer. And we also have a local co-op multiplayer for up to 4 players. I'm now going to show you the adventure mode. So this is where you've got over 50 levels that can be unlocked and opened within the game. All of them provide a unique challenge and gameplay objective. They've all got their own leaderboards. So I'm just going to show you a few of the different types of levels in the game. So I'm going to start off with one of the more conventional shooting style levels. One of the other new features we have in the game is drones. They've all got different drones, they have different abilities. So I can show you we've got a ram drone that goes off and hits the enemies. We have a sniper drone that selectively shoots at enemies that are nearby. A defender drone that sort of covers where you're going to shoot. An attack drone that also sort of shoots in the direction you're going to go. As you can see here, we've changed the grids. They're now 3D. This one's got a slight twist in it, so you can see the enemies in all corners of the map. So this game's running 1080p on all next-gen platforms at 60 frames a second. It's really using sort of the power of the new hardware to ensure we keep the smooth frame rate whilst doing all of the post effects for the render. See, I've just unlocked a power up as well. These are new to Geometry Wars Dimensions. Different enemies appear in different formations when you destroy them. We've got many of the classic enemies from the previous games. We do have new ones that you can discover as you're playing a game. So we call this game Dimensions because now with the grids, we have full 3D grids. I'll show you one now. So these are really exciting because it gives us new possibilities for different sort of attacks and ways we can create levels and give players different tactics when they're playing a game. So on this one I'm going to use the attack drone, but I'm also going to use a new thing called a special. So I'm going to use a homing special, which is also on the other trigger, so I've got a smart bomb and a homing missiles. So, as you can see, so this grid is in full 3D, so I can get to the end points, I can rotate, I can fly down. And it gives you different sort of ways to sort of view the action. Different ways to attack the enemies. The bullets just keep continuing all the way around the grid, so you can sort of chase enemies even out of view and start destroying them. Here we have a massive swarm of enemies coming from both sides. So you also have to avoid these new guys, the rocks. They're a new enemy. They change the shape of the grid, they sort of walk around, so you always have to fly in different paths as you're being chased or chasing the enemies. They're indestructible to your fire. So as you can see in this shape, one of the new features we have is the grid creates walls that come out of the grid, and when they're red they're deadly, when they're blue they're not deadly, but this allows us to do certain things with the dynamics in the grid where but this level feels very much like you're playing a scrolling style shooter because the walls are always moving and you have to compensate for that as you're battling the enemies. One of the big things we've brought in are the power-ups with the super state enemies. A lot of people weren't so keen that we took them out of Retro Evolved 2. So bringing those in is nice because you get these short bursts of sort of new powers as you play the game. The big thing really for us was bringing more variety into the game. The other game had such strong game modes, had kind of like 5 or 6 strong game modes, but we saw there's lots of possibilities where we could go with that. So with this game we've kind of got 50 of those, plus we've got the classic modes as well. So we're really excited about that. Each chapter of the game you have a boss battle at the end of each chapter, and these are also new to the bosses. Are very interesting because they create their own enemy spawns and attacks. So you have a time limit to take out the boss, each stage of the boss. And the skilled player can try to kill enemies and keep the boss alive as long as possible. As you see, he's creating his own enemy waves and spawns. We decided to put bosses into the game because the fans were really keen on us trying to bring them into the game. But we were really cautious that we wouldn't break the flow of what makes a Geometry Wars game. So what we found is by having these bosses influence the level and create their own enemy spawns, it felt like it was true to Geometry Wars. It also gave the drama and sort of action that you want when you have a boss battle. And there's a lot of ways to score big in these levels as well. Very real risk-reward mechanic. Each of the bosses are all built around the concept that they're affecting the grid in a negative way. So the more you get into the game, the more sort of almost like a disease, how they're making the grid deform and create different types of enemies within the game. So just seeing some of the features and some of the new game modes in Geometry Wars Dimensions. The game's packed full of loads of new things to discover. It's only a little bit of the content we've seen here. The game's out soon. It's out on November the 25th on PlayStation 3, PS4 and Steam. And it's out on the next day on Xbox One and Xbox 360. I hope you're going to like it. Thanks a lot.